Okay. If you'll hit the AV. Do I have a changer here, or are you my changer? Okay.
Just wrinkle your nose.
Okay, here we go. Great. Hello, my name's Tim Sprague. Why don't you go ahead and hit the first slide? Great. Thank you. Thanks much for the nice introduction. Appreciate that. It's a different world out there than where it was a couple of years ago when we first started working on things with the Portland Place development. But I'm here to talk about how we got involved with light rail development. It happened because we were involved in some projects up in Portland, Oregon, back in the late 80s and early 90s. That was at a time when they were contemplating light rail. We built a couple of apartment projects there. We're very successful with them, sold the projects, and came back after their light rail became a reality. It was amazing what we saw there. Neighborhoods were really transformed from what we had seen when we were up there doing work before. That really turned on a light switch for us and what we were going to be doing in Phoenix. We came back to Phoenix and said, okay, light rail looks like it's going to happen. Where should we go? And we first looked at Camelback and Central, said that's a great spot. Let's go look there. Well, at $50 a square foot back in 2003, we thought that was too much money. And we kept looking around at what the light rail path was, and we learned of an RFP that the city of Phoenix was going to be putting out that was for the Portland Place property, the one that we currently have. There were some issues with it, though. What was the perception of that neighborhood in 2003? The Post Group had developed their apartments in that area and really put their foot in the water first. But there were some question marks of whether or not we should be there. Friends of ours in the development business said, you want to go develop something there? And we said, well, yeah. Well, we've really seen what the impact of light rail can be, and we really feel that it's a great location. It's between two parks. It's the last boulevard street in Phoenix. We thought it was something that was really worthwhile for us to pursue. Well, we did. This is the site. You can see the Margaret T. Hance Deck Park to the north. And by the way, if you have never been to the Japanese Friendship Garden, which is on the south side of the park, which is our northern boundary for our project, probably 99% of the people in Phoenix have never been there. It really is a great amenity, but that was one of the big selling points for us. But the biggest was the fact it was really going to be on a light rail stop. So we applied. We were successful, but that's how the journey started. We thought we were going to be in construction in about 6 or 7 months. Well, it took us a full year to negotiate everything because we had to talk with all of the neighbors, Parks Department, the Roosevelt Action Association, one of the most litigious homeowners group in the state. We're very good friends with them. Took us a long time, but I will tell you it was a great experience for us. But we learned a lot of opportunities and challenges that go along with TOD development. If you look at the challenges, the biggest one really is you want to do what in my neighborhood? Truly. You're going to change the environment. Never lose track of that. You're going to change the environment. The streets are going to be ripped up by the light rail. Then here you come in, they're going to build something that's going to change their neighborhood. Here's what we did. We felt that for the Portland experience, it was important for us to get involved, talk to everybody that was a stakeholder within the neighborhood. We met with them. I can't tell you how many times I had breakfast and coffee in somebody's living room on a Saturday morning with my presentation boards talking about what our project was going to be like. Well, it really worked. And I will tell you that some of the best ideas come from those people that really aren't involved in the project from the developer standpoint, but the people that live in the neighborhood. It's amazing what comes out of those conversations. You've got to give them great credit and make sure that you acknowledge it all the way through the process. Give credit where credit is due. Again, here's our site. This is what our original plan called for. We had 3 buildings along the north side of the site that were 8 stories. We had brownstone flats that were going to front on Portland Street on the south side of the site. We met and we talked with everybody. Actually talked with the Japanese architects that designed the Japanese Friendship Gardens. They actually flew over and we spent an afternoon with them. Well, they didn't like the way the buildings were positioned. We wanted to turn them around. This is what they originally looked like from our design. This shows you one of our cocktail parties and entertainment things we did for the neighborhood to get their input. And then we had the opportunity to really plan. One thing that I will tell you, if you're looking at a TOD site, don't screw it up. You only have one chance. Don't underdevelop the site. You've got to balance the interests of the neighborhood, but make sure you also communicate well the community interests. Realize, we have $1.5 billion plus been spent on this project. Make sure you don't underdevelop the site. You only get one time to do it. Here's what we came up with. We moved the middle building, as you can see, to the south, eliminated the brownstones there because it allowed for a separation between the Japanese Friendship Garden Park, which the architect asked for, and allowed us to put a resort-style pool. We have an 8-story building on the far left side of the screen, a 10-story building, and then a 12-story building back in the back. That's what we ended up with. That's what the neighbors liked, and that's what we went forward with. This is what the renderings look like. We've developed, as you heard earlier, the first phase, which is a 6-story tower with some brownstone flats in the top. This is what the interiors proposed to look like. And then we had to go through the entitlement process after we came up with this design. If you've ever worked with TOD, you'll find out in most cases that there's an overlay that's over the zoning. Our zoning here was urban residential. Unfortunately, that was adopted before TOD, and the two zoning codes didn't sync. They actually met up. We had 11 variances we had to get. Thankfully, I see some people from the city here. I see Dean. Thank God that the city of Phoenix was very helpful for us as we went through that process. If we didn't have their support, we'd probably still be going through the entitlement process. But make sure you look at that before you get into your site, you understand it, you talk to the city officials so you don't have any surprises. Then here comes the real next question. In today's world, do you park or do you not park? In our situation in 2003, when we were planning this site, light rail was yet to exist. And we're trying to sell condos that were going between $400,000 to $1.3 million. Most people that buy a home at that price range have 2 cars. Do you only give them access for a parking space for 1? Well, in this tweener time period between people really realizing what's going to happen and what kind of impact and what kind of luxury that is, you've got to take that into consideration when you do your site. High land costs. Well, we all saw that go up and we saw the bubble burst. My advice to you, if you really want to be involved in TOD development, is buy the land now. Take advantage of where the prices are, because once things roll back around, you're going to see it. And if you pay attention, you see what Don talked about in terms of what light rail locations have experienced in this down market. They're better than other locations. What we've found in all the stuff that we look at along the light rail, people are moving in. $4 gasoline's not that far away in terms of people's mind. And I think people really think that gasoline's going to come back. If you have a thought of doing light rail development, my suggestion is jump in now, because it's not going to be any cheaper. But then you've got to finance it. How do you finance it in today's world? The world is extremely different, extremely different. My biggest advice would be that when you do a light rail project, it normally means mixed-use type development. If you can, phase it, because lenders are very, very challenged by looking at a mixed-use development in terms of financing it. Most guys that finance apartments or most guys that finance condos don't finance retail and don't finance office. So that's a big thing for them to swallow. If you can phase it, please do. Here's what our project looks like. That's a view from the Japanese Friendship Gardens on the north side. A little aerial view, somebody enjoying the afternoon. That's what the interiors turned out like. The last thing that I would say to you, we have a golden opportunity with light rail. We have the ability to connect communities. We have the ability to redevelop communities in a way that we can't imagine that we could have done before. There really, really is the opportunity to do something meaningful in terms of the development of our community itself, and I suggest that you go out, go for it. We've had a great experience with it. Fortunately, we hit the market right. Our project's been very successful. I think now is the time to plan. and get ready for the next wave. Thanks.